And why don't you take us through the third game?
The third game, kicks off at 7:10 on Saturday, and it's the big game. It's the Stormers up against the Sharks. Now we know, unfortunately, the Stormers, because they started the season off so poorly, they found themselves at the bottom of the log. Even though they've played really, really well in the second half, they left themselves too much to do. Unfortunately, it ran out of matches, ran out of time. So they're going to finish outside the playoff spots. But I think they're going to do the Sharks no favours. I think they're actually going to beat the Sharks. The Sharks went down to the Cheetahs last weekend, while the Stormers were fantastic in beating the Bulls at a really, really cold and rainy Newland 16-0. So the weather's not going to be that wet on Saturday, but it'll be pretty, pretty cold. So I still think the Stormers, their defence has been fantastic this season. They really pride themselves on keeping the teams out from scoring. So I think that's going to play a key role. The Stormers have had to make one change. They've actually lost Deon Fourie, the hooker, who really is playing fantastic rugby this season, but they've got an able replacement in Tiaan Liebenberg, so they don't lose too much there. So the continuity, I think, will stand them in good stead. I think they will have too much for the Sharks. Again, a really, really close game, I expect. The Sharks have made the playoff. They're the one South African team that will feature next weekend. Now it's really a case of, will they finish second or third? If they finish second, they have the weekend off. If they finish third, then they have to go and play an extra qualifying match, which they ideally don't want to play. It will be in Durban, so at least they don't have to travel. But they would love the weekend off to give the players some time off to get over some of those niggles. But the good news for them is they'll know what they need to do, because the Crusaders are the team that they're vying for that second and third position with, and the Crusaders play earlier in the weekend. So they'll know whether they need to win or if they need to pick up a bonus point, if they need to win by a certain number of points. So their fate will be in their hands, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So it'll be interesting, but I think the Stormers are still going to beat them. So it's actually not going to make much difference. So South African teams have this long history of doing each other no favours. And when the fixture
keep saying that, seeing that over and over again.
Correct. It is quite amazing. But then, when you look at the bigger picture, they're all vying for Springbok slots, and that's so there's no love lost between players. Whether from the greater good, it would be nice if they lost so the team could get a bye. But it's man up against man, and they're all fighting for that one Springbok slot. So there's no love lost there at all. So when the fixture list came out, and this was the very, very last match, we both, as a South African country, wished that both those teams got through, but we always knew that there was going to be a loser, which might cost them a playoff spot. So I think it's going to cost the Sharks a home semi-final spot, the match. So I'm going to go for the Stormers by 5 points. All
right. Well, our viewers unfortunately can't challenge your predictions anymore, but why don't you let everyone know how they can share photos if they're at the games and catch your live updates?
Yeah, okay. Well, we were doing live updates on Sport24.co.za for all 3 games this weekend. And if you're at any of the grounds, please send your pictures through to mysport at sport24.co.za, and we will include them in Monday's gallery.